Hey friends, do you love a cozy comfort food meal but don't have all day to spend in the kitchen? If so, you're going to love these comfort foods done right. We're covering all the classics, making them quick and easy style, and a new chicken recipe that you just won't believe. I'm Mel and welcome to my kitchen. Make yourself at home and let me do the cooking. Today we're making Mary's meatloaf. This is one of my most loved recipes on my YouTube channel. I'm making a small one because I've also got a pot of white beans in the crock pot. Starting with 1 pound of hamburger meat. I'm using a little handful of frozen diced onions that I had left in the freezer. If you like bell peppers in your meatloaf, feel free to add them. I have one of these small 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce, and I'm probably just going to use about a little over half of that. I like to season my meatloaf with Lowry seasoning salt. You can't beat the taste of a good seasoning salt in your meatloaf. But I'm not too proud to use this Kroger brand when I get it for $1. For the binder, I'm using about a cup of quick cooking oats and 1 egg to bring it all together. If you've never used the quick cooking oats in your meatloaf, I can't tell you enough the difference that it makes. It keeps your meatloaf so moist and delicious. It just brings some kind of magic to this. I just don't know what it is, but I like it so much better than breadcrumbs, crackers, or anything else that I've ever tried. I'm not knocking anybody's, but I just don't think none of them can shake a stick at Mary's Simple Meatloaf. I prefer to make my meatloafs in a casserole dish. I like mine just a little bit thinner, and they don't take quite as long to cook. And if you mix it up in your dish, you got one less to wash. I'm going to bake this uncovered 425 degrees for about 30 to 45 minutes. And if you think Mary's meatloaf cannot get any better, just wait. We're going to take our remaining tomato sauce and make a wonderful savory topping. We're going to add in a nice big bunch of brown sugar, some regular yellow mustard, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And my husband likes it sweet, so I always add a little bit extra brown sugar. This is the perfect amount for the meatloaf I'm making today. Here she is after 30 minutes in the oven. Now we're going to take this beautiful sauce and pour it all over the top. In addition to using that oatmeal, this sauce makes this meatloaf amazing. This is just a little one, but I'll have you a recipe with full instructions and measurements. And she's going to go back in the oven for about 15 more minutes. Look at that. Sizzling goodness. 30 years of making this meatloaf, and it never gets old. It turns out every time. That corner piece is always my favorite. And nothing goes better with meatloaf than a big pot of white beans. I have a pound bag of just white beans, and the first thing you always do with dried beans is you have to look them, which basically just means looking through all the beans for any little pebbles or anything like that that might be in there. And then you just want to wash them thoroughly, and I like to cook my white beans in the crock pot. I'm pulling out some ham that I had in the freezer left over from Christmas, and I'm just going to throw a little bit of that in here with these beans. Then you want to make sure and cover them with plenty of water when you put them in the crock pot. I probably used 4 to 6 cups here. And white beans cook up quick, a lot quicker than pinto beans. I just season them real simple with salt and pepper and a little bit of onion powder. I give them a little stir here, and I did not add any additional fat to these beans since we had the ham in there, and I am going to cook them on a high, and they're done in just about 4 hours. You can't have beans without a big skillet of cornbread. I've made cornbread a million times on here, but I will put my recipe down below for you. It's very simple, just off the back of the cornmeal bag with a few little additions here and there. Nothing like a big old piece of cornbread. And I like to, of course, put some under my white beans and let it soak up all that wonderful soup that's under them. I love white beans with pepper and salt on them. And I just opened up a can of the Margaret Holmes seasoned greens. We love these. And the meatloaf was delicious as always. Now I want to share a new recipe that I just found with you. It looks like a lot of ingredients, but it's really quick and easy. We're just starting out with 2 cups of cooked chicken. You could use a rotisserie or cook it in the crock pot, however you like to do it. And I just stirred in 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. We're going to season it up. It called for chives. I didn't have any, so I just threw in a little bit of parsley flakes, and I'm going to put in some of these minced onions. Going to season it up with just a little bit of pepper, and I'm also going to use my Auntie Nono's, which is salt and garlic and onion powder. Give it another good mix, and then we're going to just set that aside. Now let's prepare our crescent rolls. We'll just do them a can at a time. You want to separate your crescents to where you have 2 triangles together to make a rectangle. And you're just going to pinch the seams together. You really want to spend a little bit of time doing that because you do not want that to come apart. You're going to put about 3 tablespoons of your chicken mixture in the middle of each of these crescent rectangles. And I really watched it here and did not overfill mine. Now you're just going to pick them up and you're going to fold the crescent up around it and the sides in, and then basically you're just going to start rolling it into a ball. You're just going to close every little seam up. I patted mine out a little bit, then I rolled it, then I just kind of patted it into exactly what they said these were, chicken pillows. It's just a little round crescent pillow full of yummy chicken. And then you're just going to dip it in butter, and I've got some panko breadcrumbs right here, and you're just going to coat it thoroughly with these crunchy panko breadcrumbs. Get both sides, and then I went around the edges too, and just lay it over on a parchment lined baking sheet and finish going through the rest of them. As I was standing here putting these together, I got to thinking about these panko crumbs and how you could really doctor this up. You could put all different kind of seasonings and things in these too, but this was so much fun. Usually I don't enjoy a recipe like this, but I found something really therapeutic about making these. So you're going to put them in a 350-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, and we're going to work on this creamy Parmesan sauce. I've got about 3 tablespoons of butter, and I have stirred in about 3 tablespoons of flour here just to make a roux. I'm also going to stir in about 1.5 cups of milk. Then once all that's combined, I'm going to put in a spoonful of this chicken broth base. You could also use a chicken bouillon cube. I'm going to throw in probably about 1/4 teaspoon of salt and pepper. You just want to keep all this stirring together and bring it up to a little simmer. And this is the point where I made full-on gravy. I let it get too far ahead of me, so I'm adding in about 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. Gonna stir that in, and it, like I said, I made gravy, y'all. I made cheese gravy today. I had Patrick come over and pour a little milk in. We tried to thin it out a little bit, but you can't take the country out of the girl. I don't make a sauce, I just make gravy. But look how wonderful these things are. They are so pretty and brown, and the crispiness of the crescents with all the butter and then the crunchy panko on it. This was so delicious. We all loved these. Patrick couldn't get over them, and he's not usually one for these kind of dishes, but he absolutely loved this one. And look how juicy and delicious. This was something totally new that I had just never seen before, and we loved it. If tonight's video is making you hungry, I'd love it if you just go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And now, in my quest to use up all of these mints, I've got another dessert featuring Auntie's mints. Starting out with just a boxed brownie mix, the kind that has the chocolate syrup inside of it, and we're just baking that up according to the package directions. Taking this box of Auntie's and wrapping all of them, and I just microwaved it about 30-second increments until it was nice and smooth. I pour these melted Auntie's mints right over the top. Get it nice and spread out in every corner, and these Auntie's mints, they just melt up beautifully. I say that every time I use them. We actually had this around Valentine's Day, so we pulled out the red and white sprinkles and just went to town on this. And just look how pretty these little brownies turned out. It does not have to be scratch made to be a comfort food. Everybody loves a big chocolate brownie, and there is nothing wrong with using a box mix. I had plenty in my cabinet that need to be used up, and I just got a little creative with the topping. That is what makes it special. The little extra touches that you put into it that you know your family will love. Comfort food is about being comforted, and a lot of that is the food, but most of it is the love that goes into it. That is comfort food done right in my book. And if you enjoyed these comfort foods, I feel sure that you're going to love watching this video I put up on the screen for you next. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I don't ever take it for granted. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, I send you love from my kitchen.